A History of Southern Missouri and Northern Arkansas by William Monks, published in 1907. McBride establishes military law. As the organization of the Confederates proceeded, they still grew more bitter against the Union men and declared, by meeting and passing resolutions, that every Union man should show his colors in favor of the South or be hung as high as Haman. In the meantime, the Union men had secretly organized and met together to take into consideration as to the time when they should act. The prevailing sentiment was that they should remain dormant and let the rebels shed the first blood, while the minority thought the time had come for action, and that they ought to act before the rebels crippled them and tied them up in such a manner that when the time did come they would be entirely helpless and at their mercy. McBride, who had been elected judge of the 18th Judicial Circuit, which included Howe County, whose home was in Texas County, was made brigadier general of the Confederate forces and commenced organizing and massing his troops. On the arrival of the Federal troops at Rolla, Missouri, he became fearful that they would attack him, rout him, and destroy his forces. So he concluded to march south to West Plains and make his headquarters at that place until he could organize his forces and prepare for marching west, where he intended to join the forces of General Sterling Price and General McCulloch, who then were massing their forces to march on Springfield, Missouri, to attack the Federal forces who were then stationed at Springfield under the command of General Lyon and General Sigel. On his arrival at West Plains, he opened up headquarters, issued his proclamation that all Union men or any men that were unfriendly to the Confederate cause should come in and take the oath, and the civil law was declared to be suspended, and the military law completely in force. Then was when the dark day and trouble began to hang over the Union people. As soon as it was known that the civil law was suspended, little bunches of rebels organized all over the country and also in the state of Arkansas. In a short time after General McBride's arrival in West Plains, a man who was a door neighbor to the author came into his field where he was cutting wheat, asked him if he had seen the order of McBride. My answer was no. He remarked, "Well, he has made a general order requiring all Union men, especially those who have been open and active in behalf of the Union, to come in and take the oath, and unless they do, they are going to hang them as high as Haman." The author replied to him that he was a Union man and he knew it. He had been open and outspoken for the Union and had voted for McBride when he was elected judge, but now he thought he was acting outside of the law and humanity. "I had neither violated the law of my land or harmed any man, and I didn't consider that McBride had any right to order me to take an oath to take up arms against my country, or support those who had taken up arms. If this did become a general war, I thought they were making a blunder, for the government, or the lop-eared Dutch, as they termed them, would have the advantage in the way of transporting forage and commissaries and ammunitions of war, while the Confederates would have to rely mostly for their resources upon the county. That I was a peace officer, and while I was a strong Union man, wasn't taking up arms, and I thought that those who wanted to fight, if there had to be a fight, should go out into the open fields and not force the war on the non-combatants, and that the country would suffer enough at best. Now, you know I am a Union man, and I know that you are in favor of the Confederate cause, and I think that this is the course that ought to be pursued at the present time. The Confederates are in control of the country, and they will come around and say they must have forage for the support of the army and ask you if you know of any Union men. You could tell them, 'My neighbor right here is a Union man, but he is not disposed to take up arms and go into the fight.' Take as little from him as you can possibly do with, and as little from myself. In return, if this war goes on and the federal authorities extend their jurisdiction, they would be out hunting for rebels for the purpose of getting forage and commissaries. And I could say to them that my neighbor here is a rebel, but take just as little as possible from him and as little as possible from me, as we are going to have a hard time to get through the war anyway. But if you pursue the policy you say has been adopted by the Confederates, you will force all non-combatants into arms or drive them from the country and completely depopulate it. He burst into a big laugh and remarked, "Your promises are like a broken stick. You will never see the lop-eared Dutch in this country." I said to him, "My friend, if this war goes on, before the end of it you will see what you call lop-eared Dutch as thick as blackbirds." And we separated.